Hey everyone, welcome to part 8 of the top 100 American currency notes of all time. The top 100 notes, as put together by Q. David Bowers and David N. Sundman, they put together a book ranking the top 100 notes. This is part 8, and we are starting with number 30 and going down to number 21. Number 30 on the list. This is the 1923 $5 silver certificate. This is known as the Porthole Note. Porthole Note features that giant picture of Abraham Lincoln surrounding that circle like that. The Porthole Note from 1923 is the last large-size $5 silver certificate. That's what makes it such a big deal to collectors. They also didn't print very many of them to begin with. There are between 2,500 and 4,000 of these still out there, and you can get them anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 depending on condition. Take a quick peek at the back there. That is number 30 on the list, the $5 Porthole Note, the $5 silver certificate from 1923. Number 29 on the list is from the first series of national bank notes. This is the $5 national bank note, the original, and the series of 1875. The original series was 1865. Starting in 1875, that's when you're going to start to see the charter numbers appear on there. All the banks were given charter numbers. This particular bank would be right here, National Bank of Walla Walla, Washington. What makes these notes valuable has to do with essentially how big of a town it is and how far west the town is. The further west, the more valuable, because they just didn't print that many of them. The $5 first edition note, taking a look at the back there, it does have the green ink on the back. The central picture here is done in the same color ink as the front, just a black ink on there. One of the more cool notes that you're going to find, they put out, there's roughly 3,500 to 4,500 of these still around, and you can expect to pay anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 for one of these. That is number 29 on the list, the $5 national bank note from either 1865 or the 1875 series. Number 28 on the list is the first issue of the $20 silver certificate. The $20 silver certificate from 1878, also from 1880. You can see this $20 note right here. People were eager to have silver back our money, and the silver certificate says that plain and simple. There were 20 silver dollars deposited, and this, of course, is payable on demand. You can see the back says silver in huge letters, and the silverites of the time, think of them as today's modern-day stackers. The silverites were so proud to see the word silver certificate emblazoned across our currency. You can see some of the prices on these here. The 1878 and 1880 version features naval hero Stephen Decatur, if I recall correctly. That is number 28 on the list. The 1878 and 1880 $20 silver certificates. Number 27 on the list. 27 on the list is the $100 Confederate note, known as the locomotive note. And there are actually two versions of this, and I happen to have both of them. The main version, both versions combined only had 490,000 of these printed, and about half and half are the two different versions. You can see this one has the locomotive here, has the ship in the background, but this one you can see the locomotive steam is straight up, whereas if we check the other one and compare them side by side, you can see the steam here is diffused. You don't have the white going straight up like that. On the diffused version, this is more of a washed out note in comparison to the one with the steam that is more clear. Both of these were printed through lithography, which is not nearly as sharp as when you do the plates. That's why you get a lot of the blurred images like that. That is number 27. There's it says there's several thousand of these available, and these are fairly cheap. You can find them anywhere from $80 to $150 depending on condition. That is number 27, the $100 Confederate States of America locomotive note, also known as the milkmaid note for the milkmaid with the barrel of, or the bucket of milk on her head. Number 26 on the list is the $100 National Brownback Note. Now, this is from the second series, and I'm going to try to get it as close as I can in here. These are extremely hard to get, and the one that they were talking about the most has to do with the state of Vermont, where there is only one from the entire state that's known to still be in existence. But any of the $100 brownbacks, they got the name from the brown ink used on the back there compared to the green that we're used to seeing on the back of our notes. The $100 brownback from the series of 1882, that would be the second charter period of national banknotes. That would be number 26. There's approximately 425 to 500 of them out there, and you're going to expect to pay anywhere from $7,000 to $15,000 for one of those. That's number 26 on the list. Number 25 on the list is from the first charter, otherwise known as the original series, or the 1875 series of national banknotes. This is the $100 national banknote. $100 national banknote, once again, if it's got the charter number on it, then it's the 1875 version. Either one is good enough to make the top 100 list. A very familiar picture of the signing of the Declaration of Independence on the back. Most of you will see this on a $2 bill. A modern $2 bill has that, but here's the first incarnation on the bill. That's part of the reason why this particular one is of such great interest, because you've got the familiar picture like that. The $100 bill from the National Banknotes series of 1865 and 1875, that one is number 25 on the list. There are, like I said, between 80 and 90 of these known, and you can pay upwards of 50 grand for one of these. That's number 25, the $100 national banknote from the first charter period. Number 24 on the list is a very tough one for me to show, but I'm going to make the attempt anyway. It is known as the Polar Bear Note. I've got this copy of an uncut sheet that I use, but you can see the Polar Bear Note here shows the depiction of people that are apparently seal hunting, and there is a polar bear that is trying to get on board. Now, this particular image was used on numerous banknotes throughout the 1850s, and this just happens to be the most prolific one. But that lithograph is actually what we're talking about, not necessarily this $3 bill. It was available on $1 bills as well. So that's what that's the interesting part of this particular note. It's not the note that makes it, it's the actual image of the polar bear. There are several hundred, well, there's numerous varieties and several hundred of them out there. You're still talking about $700 to $1,000 if you can come across one of these. That's number 24, the Polar Bear Note. Number 23 follows in the same vein as the Polar Bear Note. It's not necessarily this note in particular. This is the note that made the image famous, though. The White Mountain Bank $2 bill featuring, of all people, who does that look like to you? That's Santa Claus. The Santa Claus note on the White Mountain $2 bank. This is a rather interesting note. There were numerous other notes that did contain images of Santa Claus. This is the one that they listed for number 23. It says, let's see, more than a dozen varieties, and the estimated number known, it says not relevant. So basically it says get one. That's pretty much all it says there. You can expect to pay anywhere from $300 to $1,500, maybe more, upwards of $3,000, depending on the particular condition or the particular bank that it comes from. So that is number 23, the Santa Claus note. Number 22 on the list from 1918, it's the $2 national currency note. This is a Federal Reserve Bank note, to be specific. If you look it up, that would be FRBN. Is for Federal Reserve Bank. This particular one happens to be from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The $2 note, what makes this one so cool and why it is number 22 on the list is not the front, but the back. This is the Battleship note. The battleship on the back is actually the USS New York, if I recall, and you can actually see people on the front deck of the ship. This is a World War I battleship, and if I recall, it was also part of Pearl Harbor. It was there at Pearl Harbor, if I remember correctly. The Battleship Note from 1918, one of the most collectible notes out there. $2 note, number 22 on the list. There are anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 of them out there. The New York version is the most printed version. You are talking anywhere from 550 all the way up to 2,300, depending on condition for one of these. That's number 22, the 1918 $2 Battleship Note. And finally this week, number 21, this is the $5 1886 silver certificate. The 1886 $5 silver certificate, known as the Morgan-back note. This was backed by $5 in silver, if we read that. They're backed specifically by 5 silver dollars. And on the back, they actually put those 5 silver dollars. And these, of course, would be 1886 Morgan silver dollars, since it's an 1886 note. And what makes this note so unique is right across those coins, you can read, "In God We Trust." It turns out this is the second time that "In God We Trust" was used on paper money. The first time happened to be the first charter of national banknotes that came from Florida, because "In God We Trust" was on their flag. But as far as "In God We Trust" on coins and the representation here, this would be the first time that you see that. So that is number 21. Now, there are roughly 1,500 to 2,500 of these out there, and you can expect to pay anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 without a problem. If you find one that is crisp, uncirculated, these can run $40,000 to $60,000 without a problem. So that concludes this week's list. Tune in next week when we tackle the top 20. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next week.